Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. My name is Tanay Ol, and I'm an anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry veterans to come together to share their knowledge, ideas, thoughts, and best practices with one another, as well as with upcoming industry leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings of all our industry stalwarts. We hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leader interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone as they help us to identify, nurture, and work on trade secrets that have already proven a success formula for so many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such corporate titan on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Nawalji Sahay. We welcome you on the show, sir.
Thank you.
He is a distinguished professional with an illustrious career spanning nearly 4 decades, characterized by expertise in banking, financial management, training, and organizational leadership. As a versatile individual, he has seamlessly transitioned between roles as a banker, finance professional, educator, trainer, consultant, published author, and active YouTuber. With a solid foundation in banking and financial management cultivated during a 28-year tenure with State Bank of India, he held high-profile assignments, including a special 4-year service in Canada. His expertise extends to commercial and international banking, where he has made significant contributions to SBI's operations. As a faculty member at SBI's Apex training establishment, the State Bank Academy, he has distinguished himself as a staff faculty member in self-development and emotional intelligence in addition to core banking projects. So, sir, our viewers would like to know in brief about your career journey so far.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your introduction. Actually, I started in 1979 when I joined the State Bank of India as a probationary officer, and that was in Bihar. But my joining was at Hyderabad. To start with, I will tell you what happened when I was going to board the train to Hyderabad. My father was there to see me off. He asked me how many people are going to join SBI this year. I said, I understand about 170. At that time, it was considered a very coveted job. The reason being that private sector wasn't that big. So government job and these public sector jobs, they were actually very, very important avenues for the youth at that time. So my father asked that 170 people are joining. I will give you an advice. That means the State Bank of India is planting 170 trees, which will bear fruits over the years. But what will happen to you? How do you want to distinguish yourself? In a garden or in a jungle, if there are all the trees are of the same size, nobody would notice them. You have to be above them, healthier than them, or larger than them. It stuck to my mind that it's not an ordinary journey that I have to undertake. It's a journey where I have to equip myself to be a better executive with the State Bank of India and do better than others. It all started, as I said, in 1979. And right from my probation period, which was at Patna itself, I started taking up challenges. If I had to grow up, the first thing that I wanted to do was to learn the job, to learn banking thoroughly. And it was a surprise for my colleagues at the branches where I was working. They did not believe that probationers will do so much of hard work. But do you know what was the advantage? By the time I finished my probation, I became a source of guidance, even for older employees, because everybody was working. Hardly anybody was going into all the details, all the instructions, all the norms. I will not say that I knew all the instructions, but it was a pleasant surprise one day when 3-4 people were sitting together trying to resolve something, when one person said, I think it will be good if you talk to Mr. Sahay, maybe he knows. Somebody said he's too new in the bank. He said, there's no harm in trying. They did. and I had the solution. You know, it gives you a very good jump start in the organization where you are working. It gave you confidence. So in fact, the banking scenario at that time, we are such executives who have seen the biggest changes that have taken place in fast. It was so fast, the changes that one needed to be, you know, always alert and always learning to adapt to those changes. By the time I had left the bank, it was altogether a different banking. Even the work culture had changed. Even the employees' behavior had changed. Everything. And if you also change with them, then you definitely meet with a lot of respect. I will not say success, but you get the respect of others. That gives you a leadership role. So while doing the initial general banking and all that, because as you know, reputation travels faster, I was taken to the head office of State Bank of India at Patna. It's called local head office. And there I was placed in personnel department, the HR and personnel department, altogether a different playground. But this was a wonderful opportunity for me. And believe me, I was there for 6 long years. The State Bank of India local head office Patna had at least 1,000 branches all over Bihar, erstwhile Jharkhand included. So it was such a big challenge, you know, to manage the people all over the states, and also their promotions, their benefits, and all those things. It was a very, very great opportunity, and I was very close to the power center. So when I was still a scale 2 deputy manager, I was rewarded, or better say, I was awarded with an assignment which was that of a chief manager, 2 stages higher. And I was posted to the steel city called Jamshedpur. It was such a big, you know, horizon to work for, because many of the top Tata Group companies became my clients. I was heading the commercial banking, be it Tisco, be it Telco at that time, Tata Motors now, other companies, they all became my clients. You start learning about them, you know, and as their banker, you also visit them. You see how those companies are working. It is such a good experience or exposure, you may say. But the best of all, that Timken company came to India at that time, and Tata Timken was established in Jamshedpur. I had the privilege of becoming their first banker. Wonderful to deal with them right from the day one, from establishment. And I would also like to add that while I was still there, Tata Timken went public. And at that time, it was the biggest, you know, IPO. And because it was given to the Tata employees also. So it was such a huge challenge to handle that, which I single-handed handled. These things brought a lot of love and, you know, patronage from my top bosses. I could distinguish myself. I'm very proud of doing all these things. After that, I had a chief manager stint in a very high-profile branch in Patna. But thereafter, I was inducted as chief manager in the Secretariat of Chief General Manager, who happens to be the chief for the entire local head office, entire circle, which is Patna and Jharkhand at that time. So I started getting the top view, bird's eye view of the functioning of all the branches, being in the secretariat, heading the secretariat of the chief general manager. It was again a wonderful experience that I had. I could understand the core banking from inside out, how banking is done, how all reportings are done. I should not miss to tell you at this point of time that every local head office in the State Bank of India, it has a federal structure, has a local board of directors. Being in the secretariat of the chief general manager, as the chief manager, I was ex officio secretary to the board. And it was my good luck that at that time, the board was superseded at Patna. So the board meeting used to be held in our central office at Bombay, presided by none other than the chairman of the State Bank of India. So at a very young age, I had an opportunity to sit in the boardroom of the State Bank of India when chairman used to be present there. And it was a great opportunity with whatever you could do to impress the chairman. God is kind. This is how you build. This is a snake and ladder story. If you are working with the chairman and the chairman gets impressed, you are bound to get a ladder, which very luckily I got. And I got a posting to Canada. In Canada, the situation of our branch wasn't that good. NRIs were very, very unhappy due to various reasons. And with my love for the new technology, what I started was that I totally transformed the work, the way NRI business was being handled. It was totally put on the computers, mechanized. The person used to come, just give me the passport and the money, and all the details, etc., would automatically get fed, printed, forms prepared. Because the local people in Canada, they may not be that educated, the Indians. It was difficult for them even to fill up the forms. But when you do it, everything yourself on the computers, it was such a big relief. So from being a very, very, complaint-prone department, we became a highly efficient department. And a lot of things started pouring into India. At that time, bonds were also issued, India Resurgent bonds, and I became solely responsible for handling it and got huge response, managed to get huge response from the Indian diaspora. It gave me tremendous satisfaction. And for that, I was rewarded by opening another branch in Toronto at Mississauga for the Indian people, closer, taking the bank closer to the Indian population. So there also, it was a huge opportunity to interact with the Indians. And it gave me a wonderful opportunity to develop a rapport with them. They would come and they will try to know what are the details, what are the opportunities. Actually, they used to feel that they are sitting in India, sitting across my table. I used to feel so happy about it. Sometimes even people would come with their personal difficulties also, family difficulties also. So you become a counselor to them, even despite your busy schedule. But I must tell you how things grow up. Because of these things, there used to be a local Indian channel dominated by the Punjabi people. They used to invite me from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sundays. Go live, Mr. Sahay. People will ask you questions and answer them. It was highly, highly satisfying for me. So these things built up my character, built up my, perseverance for doing good for our own people. And I tell you, it culminated in two things. One was that before I left Canada on the 15th January 2001, the Indian High Commissioner addressed the Indian diaspora on the occasion, and my speech followed him. I was so much honored. I was emotional. It was wonderful recognition for a State Bank of India officer. And I was given a huge farewell by them when I returned to India. As you have already said, that from there, from the core banking businesses, foreign exchange businesses, foreign businesses, I was sent to State Bank's apex training establishment called State Bank of Academy. This State Bank Academy had started in that year only. And my reputation helped me getting a posting there without any, nobody was appointed a faculty unless he had undergone a test by the experts. But I got in directly there. And when the principal of the academy asked me, what are you going to teach? I said, banking, I know, but I want to do something beyond that. Everybody does banking, but are we doing banking efficiently? We are not, because soft skills are lacking. He said, then what do you want to do? I said, it's a wonderful, beautiful academy, sir. Let me start with emotional intelligence and also with communication skills. He said, okay, you start. And he sat in the back of the class trying to see what I'm doing. You see, when you talk about communication skills, and if you ask the participants what they mean by this, they would say what? The writing skills, the talking skills. This is what they are limited to. This is what the communication skill is. But when I tell them that your communication skills are not simply these things, the moment you were born, you start communicating. They were surprised. What are you saying? I said, when the child is born, everybody says that the child is so healthy, the eyes are so big, anything. Is it not a communication? This is how you when you are talking, or I'm not saying teaching, but when you are talking to people to change them, to change their thoughts, you should be very, very clear, and you should not make them think that you are trying to teach them. It's not teaching. Let them learn by themselves. And that is what they did. I said, you are in this academy, such a beautiful building, amazing building, one of the best buildings at that time in Gurgaon. What do you feel? What is it communicating? State Bank of India is changing. From all the clumsy and bad and smelling branches, you are getting this. So when you go back from there to the branches, you carry this. They would write me a letter that the ideas are sticking to me. You tell them that you cannot go out to the market in a lungi. You represent the State Bank of India. If somebody says he's State Bank of India branch manager, how will it look? I try to do my bit to change the approach of the people. The same way, when we talk about emotional intelligence, it is so much required in the branches. Somebody asks to file a form, and if he or she delays, the man loses his temper. I have so many work to do. No. Why should you do that? If you are emotionally strong, you will appreciate not only your own emotion, you will control your own emotion, but you will also understand the emotion of the others. See what Dhoni does. Why is he so popular as a captain? Why? There are so many captains. They are not that popular. One player drops a catch and see the face of the captain. What happens? And see the face of Dhoni, known as Captain Cool. So these things started, earning me a very, very good name, even as a faculty. And then when all these things were going on, I also became editor of the magazine of the State Bank Academy, because they thought that I have the background to do these things. But about writing, etc., I will come to you later. This entire journey is about what? All of us are in a journey. And where do we try to reach? We are trying to reach the theater of happiness. What is the theater of happiness? We want to reach there where we have all sorts of happiness. And unfortunately, the theater of happiness always remains empty. People do not reach there because they themselves become very, very unhappy for various reasons. If they do not have the, for example, the emotional intelligence, if they fight with people, if they're competing with people, if they are not taking the leadership roles, then what happens? These are the things, were happening when again I moved to the newly created group of mid-corporates. And I was heading a branch in Delhi, a very high-profile branch, the Nehru Place Mid-Corporate branch. I was there for 2 years. But I will again back to the story. When I was secretary to the local board, I had interactions with the chairman. One day, one retired chairman called me and he said that we are going to start an asset reconstruction company called the International Asset Reconstruction Company. Nawalji, are you interested in joining us? You see how your image or your reputation helps you. And I decided to leave State Bank of India, which gave me so many things, to join the Asset Reconstruction Company, which was promoted by a former SBI chairman and former MD of Bank of America. It was a great opportunity, new learning, again, very challenging. You know, acquiring bad assets from the banks, negotiating with them a price, and when you get it, then resolving it, and resolving it with such tough customers whose accounts have become bad. It's very, 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 very challenging, but very exciting also. And then you have hundreds of cases with various courts. You have to manage your frustration with the judiciary system in India, definitely. The DRTs, the high courts, and if I can name even the Supreme Court of India, because the courts keep on delaying their judgments. It's very, very tough. And one more reason why I joined this was, I talked about the trees. When the trees are shifted from one place to the other, to the other, to the other, you may not expect it to be very healthy. I wanted to be stable. My children were about to leave colleges. They had to be placed. So the benefit was that I got a placement at Gurgaon, which was more or less permanent. And I got a very good area of operation almost all over the India, but definitely East and Central India, North India. So I thoroughly enjoyed this job working with the Asset Reconstruction Company. And additionally, I got 5 years extra service because I had left the State Bank of India. So I worked here. I did not retire at the age of 60. You see, when I retired from there, then it could have been a vacuum. But no, it wasn't that for me. The reason being that I always had love for reading, love for knowing things, and love for writing. It may not be a very out of place, to mention to you that before joining State Bank of India, I had written the UPSC examination for the IAS. And in that particular year, I had secured the highest mark in the country in essay writing. That confidence I always used to carry, that I do have the capacity of writing. I hold a master's degree in English literature. And throughout my career, when I was in the banking, I was writing for some magazines, some stories, some Gito Bhari Kahani for All India Radio, but they were far and few. I will not say that they were very regular, but post my retirement, when I was in Singapore with my son, the COVID hit the humanity. And that was a wonderful opportunity for me to sit at home, think, and write. I could see the devastation. I could see the frustration. I could see the problems people were facing, the emotional problems that people were facing. So I wrote a book, Gyan and Jigyasa Dialogues. This was all about, what is happening, what challenges we are facing. Gyan and Jigyasa, a young couple who were till the lockout, were very busy in their own world, busy in their jobs, earning a lot of money, but they were not living their life. Something was amiss. This gave an opportunity. They were locked in their own flat, and then they started realizing that we have altogether got different responsibilities, different world, taking care of people, taking care of people, those who are suffering, even taking care of their own garden, taking care of their flowers. All those things people miss in their life. And then a lot of divine intervention stories also I narrated, mostly, inspired by true stories. I think my book got a very good reception. And during the COVID time, it was released during the COVID period itself, and a lot of people bought it and received a lot of, compliments for the book. But I received a request from one of my friends that he works for a big company who would like to give a copy of the book to his workers, but he wanted them to be in Hindi. And God is very kind. I was able to translate the entire book into Hindi, and it was released by Vitasta Publishers in Delhi about 6 months back. And he was the first person to come forward, and he ordered 400 books. What more satisfaction one can get when whatever he's trying to do, whatever he's writing is true to the market. And it is going to the people. It is good for everybody, right from a child to an elderly person. There is something or the other for everybody. It was all out of my experience. After writing the book, again, I felt that I must give back to the society. There is a concept that one should die empty. What does it mean? It means if you are having too much of money in your bank, in your lockers, you are going to leave them. Why not share this with the needy? But it is more aptly applied to your knowledge power. You acquired so much of knowledge. Can't you share it with others? When you die, it goes with you. So why can't you share this with people? And to meet this urge or my feeling that people need it, I started my own YouTube channel, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Let everybody be happy. It's under 5-minute video, and I want people to listen to it. A lot of practical things, some, religious things also, love to divinity, gratitude, all those things are covered. I have already come up with 125 videos till now, and I think they are fairly well received. People like it. And even if I have been able to help 10, 15 people, I think I have helped more. I think I have done my job. I'll be happy about it, because our scriptures say that Dan should not always be of kind. Gyan is also a very big Dan. It helps people. You teach one person something, you teach person to how to catch a fish, and lifetime he becomes independent in his profession. It's something like that. So that is what I have been doing. Right now I'm in Singapore, love the kids, and keep them talking to them and learning also a bit from them. That's what is happening. I'm trying to write another book now, and we'll be doing it shortly. Any questions?
No, sir. So next question would be, as a seasoned banker and financial professional, what inspired you to delve into areas such as training, consultancy, and authorship?
Yeah, that's what I tried to talk to you about, because you have a lot of inner strengths which are pent up. They are trying to come out. If you know your capability, if you are a popular person, you go well with people and all that, then you feel that whatever you have acquired, whatever you have learned, you must share with others. Others must get the benefit. As I told you in the banking, you read the book of instructions and the guidebooks, you will learn the banking. But how will you get the finer skills? So that was the reason that when I was offered a posting at the training establishment, I was more than willing, because I used to give a lot of satisfaction from the job. It gives you a lot of pleasure when somebody feels, or somebody writes back, when he goes back home and he writes back that I have come as a better person and I'm talking to my children also about these things. You feel very, very happy. You know, some bankers, there are a lot of, jokes about bankers that when they return home late in the night, then in what mood they come back. If you are able to change even one person's mood, these things have changed now, because earlier when they were doing everything manually, they always invariably used to get very, very late. So that's the reason that, I had an inclination towards this training and talking to people, meeting people, and all those things. And again, as I told you, you asked about writing. Writing also, I had developed the capability, I think, to write good, to express myself. And that was the reason, that I started writing. As I told you, some small stories, etc. I used to keep to write, some poem, etc. in Hindi and English. I have been very, very, lucky, because I read in Hindi medium school, so Hindi was always good. I mastered in English literature, so I got some competence in English also. That's why I was able to translate my entire English book into Hindi myself. And I think people are liking it.
So emotional intelligence is an area you've pioneered in training. How do you integrate emotional intelligence principles into financial management and leadership practices?
You see, if you do not have an emotional intelligence capability, you cannot be a leader. You cannot be a leader, because emotional intelligence is just not about controlling your emotions yourself, which is very, very important. It is also about, managing the interpersonal relationships. Also about managing the emotion. Say somebody has emotional outburst. How will you manage that? A leader, first of all, needs the, I will give you an example. There are a lot of people who are toppers in their school, the engineering examination, UPS examination, and all that. But you will find that not always the topper in the IAS, the topper from the IITs, they reach the topmost position. Who reaches the topmost position? Not the most intelligent, but the reasonably intelligent with a lot of emotional intelligence. Because then only you will be able to, you are highly intelligent. You fail once, you will throw the entire experiment that you are doing. You will not be able to go to the next one. But if you are emotionally, a doctor passing with flying colors may not be the best surgeon, because he gets nervous. He's not able to manage so much of blood, or somebody is sinking. He will not be able to manage that. So to be in a leadership position, right now you can see all around, we have excellent leaders around. You can see that those are the people with excellent emotional strength. And what was your next question, sir? Now you also asked how it helps in financial decisions. You see, I will tell you, I acquire an asset. when say, how do I acquire? Yeah, I have to go and negotiate with the banks at what price I want it. Let it be over. But after that, I'm negotiating with the person whose account I'm trying to resolve. Now, suppose I have bought something for 100 rupees. The value of the assets is 170 rupees. What are you trying to do? How are you going to resolve? Are you going to wait for 5 years, the courts to decide to get 170 rupees? Or are you going to decide to get 135 rupees today? You are not going into uncertainty. You know, if just by emotion you take a decision, either to go for 135 or wait for 170, what will be the value of 175 years hence? So, intelligence might say that it is a secure date and you will get 170, but when? So at that time, the thoughts that you apply are not based only on intelligence, but on your emotional strength. The same way, somebody comes to you for an overdraft. He is in deep trouble. You go by the rules and you deny it. Is it correct? But if you have the emotional intelligence, you understand what it should be and how you're going to help the person. You are able to take that risk in your career and you take a decision.
So what kindled your interest in ESG?
You see, whenever I listen about ESG, it pains me. You will be surprised why it pains me. We are Indians. We have the richest culture. And, to start with the first, we are harming the nature. But what our scriptures say, what we should have done, we worship trees, we worship rivers, we worship the smallest of the things, we worship animals. But today we have come to such a situation that it has to be enforced. It has become a subject now that we have to do this to save our planet, to save our people, to save our nature, to save our companies. This should not have been, at least in India. If we go back to our old scriptures, we'll know everything. But something has to be done. If nothing is happening on its own, then ESG is the answer. We must subscribe to ESG, try to enforce it to the extent possible so that, the changes start coming. These days, you must be facing the heat. Every year it is going up. Something needs to be done. Bangalore, what has happened. There is no water. At that time, had we been worshipping the pond nearby, nobody would have, constructed a multi-story building on that. But that did not happen. And now we are faced with such a disaster. So that's why ESG definitely, I will not say fascinates me, but definitely interests me.
So as an ESG expert, what values do you bring to the table?
As I told you, I have, my own views on what needs to be done. There is absolutely going to be no compromise as far as ESG is concerned. Any violation, even at the cost of you losing some business, you losing some profit, you losing some employees, we have to go for that for greater good. And if I get a table where I have to take care of ESG, I'll be very firm on these things. And then the ESG responsibility, if I am on the board, is the responsibility that I get on behalf of hundreds and thousands of people who are shareholders. Unless I protect them, not only the shareholders, the general public also, but then definitely the interest of the shareholders, then only I'm doing my duty.
So what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, cloud, digital twin, big data, and Web 3.0?
You see, I have studied all these. They are growing. And as per my experience, tomorrow these things are also going to change, for sure. You know, all these things, while I told you that we were doing banking manually, the ledgers were so heavy, it was difficult to lift. Now what has happened from the core banking solution and all that, to all UPI payments, etc., everything, we have come this far. But we should be, I personally feel, we have had enough. We should slightly go slow on these things. If you talk about AI, you see, somebody or some machine copies your voice and sends some message to somebody, creates havoc. But earlier, we used to enjoy this. I would go to the theater for mimicry and somebody talking like, our great prime minister or some film stars and all that. It used to be so enjoyable. Now we get suspect. What is happening? What is true? What is false? Every day in the phone, you receive so many things. So my personal feeling is it has gone beyond the control of human beings as it looks to me, and it needs to be slowed down. Just as ESG has come for the industries and the businesses and all that, some social responsibility or environment responsibility has to come to the IT. Maybe I'm being very, very radical, but what I feel, I'm telling you.
So we're building a community here of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
I have heard them, I have listened to their videos and their talks. But for them, I would not have been here. They make so much of sense. They are doing such a wonderful service, and they are opening windows and giving opportunities. I think it is a very selfless job. And the platform may not be correct, but the price that you pay for that is nothing. They are opening windows, not only windows, they are opening a sky to the persons. Only the person needs to be interested, needs to abide by what they are saying, needs to meet their expectations. Right? This is what I feel.
Great, sir. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident your insights will truly inspire future leaders. Thank you so much once again for joining us today, sir, and wish you the best for our future endeavors.
Thank you so much. You have been a wonderful listener. I loved seeing you always smiling. So that encouraged me to keep on speaking and talking to you. You are such a receptive person. Wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much. Best wishes. All the best.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks.